lot of different professions covering legal, brokerage, actual token creation, some blockchain company principles here, which is going to be great to pick your brain about some of the technical stuff that's going around. But first and foremost, I want to talk about the Asian Real Estate Association. So we are a national association consisting of about 19,000 members and 39 chapters. We are representing the New York local Manhattan chapter, and I would encourage everybody here to be a member, because as you can see, there's value to be had from not only networking along with other professionals, but also getting some education with regards to what's going on, not only in real estate, but with technology such as blockchain. Two things coming up over the next week or so is the Lunar New Year celebration, which is on March 1st, this Thursday. And I would encourage you guys to look up at, or look for the marketing material on that. We're putting a lot of things together for that include a celebration and the installation of the board this year. Also, for those who are not members today that came in, I again encourage you to become a member, because there's a lot of member-only benefits that we provide to the association and its members. Also, you can find all that information from aria.org. Thank you. I don't want to forget also today our venue host, Eric Feinstein. Thank you for allowing this beautiful conference room to be used for this. And I also want to thank my co-host, co-moderator, Manish Shah from Two Kings, and I'll let him provide his own introduction.
Okay, hello, good morning, thanks for making it out. Just first of all, Dorian didn't mention his own background. He started out in technology and technology services, and then spent a lot of his career inside of title, which I'll ask him a tougher question later as to whether title needs to exist anymore. For my own background, I started out as a technology investment banker and technology venture capitalist. So when I was young and when I was in my 20s, instead of running around with cryptos and ICOs, I was running around with IPOs, lived in Silicon Valley, worked on Sand Hill Road. And you know what's amazing, everyone talks about Google and Facebook, but Google was a tiny little company that I was working with. Facebook didn't exist. And what I'd like to emphasize to everyone in this room is we're still in really early stages, in my opinion, on both cryptocurrencies and the use of a decentralized ledger. So this whole blockchain and Bitcoin and crypto stuff, to me, smells very early. It's happening at a much faster pace. And I think the people in this room have a chance at almost leading the application to the real estate vertical. And while, let's say in the first version, the internet transformation maybe took 15 years, this may happen in 5, but at least it's still early inside of our industry. So with that, I do want to point out we have fantastic panelists. I'm going to pick on the most well-known of the panelists, at least publicly, and really ask him, have you had any 17-year-olds with Bitcoin try to buy one of your multi-million-dollar listings?
Good question. Not yet. Not yet. They, although my driver, his son owns Bitcoin, and he talks to me about it every single day. And they trade it between students at their school in Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn. But they've been in it for years and years and years and years and years. And so now they're all having a great time.
Okay, fantastic. One more specific question, and this is, and just by way of background, Two Kings, which is what we currently run, my partner Chris is out there if you want to ask about Two Kings. But we're real estate investors. We primarily invest in the New York City area. We also invest in other parts of America. But we have investors and partners that are from around the country, around the world. And we also have condos that we're selling, and we're happy to sell them to people from around the world. And one of the issues when I was talking to Ryan about this is, Ryan, how do you deal with foreign investors, foreign currencies, and do you see the ability for someone to access, call it New York City real estate, differing, whether it's rubles or Bitcoin? I mean, how do you deal with currency today?
We've always dealt with currency, both as basically as a means to transact and to negotiate with sellers on when to sell and buyers on when to buy, right? I guess in recent memory, we have worked a lot with the Canadian dollar against the US dollar. Right? If you were Canadian and you bought in the US in 2013, you're basically on par, 1-for-1. And then you hit record prices in, I think, the middle of 2016. So we saw that happening on the FX exchange, and we actively started targeting Canadian nationals who own property in New York City to tell them to sell, because it was a relatively okay time in the market, but because of the exchange, if they sold in US dollars here and brought it back at like $1.40, I think it was at the time, or 68 cents on the dollar or so, they were selling for a lot more than their American counterpart. And so we were undercutting all of the US nationals or other foreign owners, because the currency enabled them to sell for less. And in 2016, New York City was hit with a lot of surplus of inventory. And so that was great for us. We did a lot of Canadian deals that way. Right now, we're doing a lot of deals with the EU, right? So we have a lot of buyers who are converting their cash from euros to dollars, and we're pushing them to do that, because I think it's been in like only the last 2 months, all of a sudden we've gone from par to I think $1.25 or so. So in that sense, we deal with currency all the time to create real estate transactions and to pinpoint different markets, and then we actively go after them. Bitcoin and crypto hasn't yet crept into our wheelhouse other than via PR and press. People talk about it, but unless you are, the problem is that if people have it, the banks that have the equity or the capital on the new developments that we sell aren't going to take it. And then what do? So do you convert back to US dollars? I think there's only been a couple transactions. You probably know better than I do. What transactions have been done crypto to crypto, right? And so it's the same thing. So right now it's about converting to US dollars, which I think is not the point of owning crypto and being able to invest with it.
Fantastic, thank you. A couple of points came out of that we'll bring up later. One was a regulatory issue, one was banking. The other thing was that New York real estate itself used to be that reserve store of value that the government can't create more of. So it's interesting when people compare it to something like a Bitcoin. Ryan has to leave early, so if there are any Ryan-specific questions, I will throw out a couple of questions to the crowd if they have them, and that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That was great. I'm very accessible, and 2 of my team members are right here, and they love cryptocurrency, so you can talk to them all day long.
And if you want to buy condos in the Lower East Side, call them.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Do people ask you if there's a possibility to use crypto?
The question was, do people ask me if there's a possibility to use crypto? Not yet. Not me. I'm not a pioneer in it, and I don't advertise it. If I did, maybe people would ask. But as of right now, it's incredibly volatile, right? And so it's kind of what you just said. People have always bought New York City real estate as a very constant store of wealth. Very rarely with something, do you put $1 million in something today and it's worth $2 million tomorrow or $500,000 on Wednesday. So, the volatility of crypto is what, is kind of the opposite of what New York City real estate is meant to be. So not yet. Yes.
At what point would you consider if someone approached you to make a sale or transaction using cryptocurrency?
So his question was, at what point would I consider making a sale in crypto? Listen, I'm a real estate broker, right? I'll take blood money, I take diamonds, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, right? As long as the commission is US dollars or Chase Quick Pay, I'm good to go. So, so at any time, really, no one has really offered it, to be honest. But I think that the tricky part, like we have a developer in the East Village who advertised that they'll take crypto, but I know it's been for them incredibly complicated on the deal side and how to get it through, because it's not us, right? It's getting a loan through Wells Fargo. Like, how does Wells Fargo's retail bank collateralize crypto that's like this all the time? So that's the issue that we've seen in New York City anyway. Probably because the apartments and homes here are just so expensive, right? I think the areas that you've seen crypto to crypto are, I think you've had some deals in Miami, right? Florida, some outer markets, Las Vegas. but they're for, you know, $300,000 to $700,000 properties. That doesn't get you a whole lot in New York, not yet anyway. Yes.
Set aside the crypto part, the underlying technology for blockchain, where do you see real estate right now from looking at a paper trail, it's like 19th century?
Yeah.
Where do you see that shift in the paradigm?
That's a good question for you. We were just talking about that. I really don't know. You know, I don't know, but we were just talking about the ownership of the data and how you're right? It's, I mean, New York City still doesn't have an MLS. And when Zillow bought StreetEasy, New York City real estate had a heart attack. They still have a heart attack. We now have this thing called the RLS through REBNY, the Real Estate Board of New York, and it doesn't work because no one uses it. And if you try to use it, it doesn't make any sense. It's like bananas. It's crazy. So I think the ownership of that data, and maybe I pass this on to you, is probably what will be the most exciting. But I'm just not as educated on it to be able to answer that question
So
fully.
I'm gonna go grab it back up. That is a big topic, and part of it involves title, and part of it involves privacy and data. So what I'm gonna do is say thank you, Ryan.
Thank
If you
you.
have more broker-related questions, two extremely competent and knowledgeable people are in the audience, maybe more. And I'm gonna kick it back to Dorian.
Yeah, so just,